Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we're back in Le Mans Ultimate and another week, so we've got another race ahead of us. This one was a Hypercar fixed at Monza, which was a very interesting race typically anyway, because Hypercars are quite interesting with their complex nature of maintaining hybrid and such. But what was interesting about this was actually a wet to dry race. So what that meant is the start of the race, as you will see, was a complete washout. Not necessarily raining, but the track itself was completely soaked. You will see. And then the kind of strategies that were developed from that, whether it was a case of what time do you go in to get dry tyres once the track started drying out? Do you even pit at all and just try and see if the wets got through? So we saw varying strategies with varying successes, but we'll jump straight into it. I'll show you my qualifying just so you get an idea of how wet it was, and then we'll jump into the race and we'll see how crazy wet that the actual race was from there. So enjoy. So here we go as we head out. As you can see already, just even going at 60 kilometers per hour, the spray behind that was created from how wet the track was. And as you can see in the bottom left of the track saying how not dry it is. So this proved quite an interesting qualifying. You had to be really careful. As you can see, the car tiptoeing around such corners like the initial chicane and getting the power down was proved quite difficult actually for myself. I was finding just being able to just plant it like you typically would in the dry, obviously not possible here. The braking of the Toyota, I will say, is quite impressive even in the wet. I found comparatively compared to the Cadillac and Peugeot, which is another car that I like using. I found the braking was good. Obviously that driving standard there was not as good, but we move forward and we go on to set another lap. As you can see from the reverse sector here, really struggling with braking and braking too hard, which is leading the tyres to lock up and aquaplane, missing apexes and going on at chicanes and such. So this qualifying in general I did find very difficult. I'm not sure we actually get a really clean super lap. But it just goes to show the kind of challenges where an ever drying track, but something that's quite wet from the get-go. As you can see, bottom left, still saying track is very wet, and this is throughout qualifying. There isn't enough cars on track to displace that water. However, we'll see in the race coming up that having multiple cars or pushing that rain to one side soon does try up. So we try again. Here's the second lap. Hopefully we make the chicane a bit better this time. So we hit it, tiptoe across, and then we spin. With only a minute left, we call it that. So here we go. We start P19 on the grid. And as you can see, even again at such low speeds, this is what we were faced with at the early part of this race. Still not enjoying the starting procedure. I think the lines on the ground, the slowing down, the speeding up notifications are a bit disruptive and not very intuitive, and I think it causes more problems. We go green here now.
Green flag, green flag.
And as you can see, we're faced with a wall of spray going down the straight. Again, it's like taking it easy, not forcing the issue. I think we get a couple of clatters and bumps, nothing too major, just people just being slightly impatient, which is a theme in Le Mans Ultimate. It's a theme in sim racing in general. We avoid a big crash there. We avoided some spins and some clatters. We try and get ourselves hunkered in. Nearly lost it ourselves, but actually managed to avoid a spin there going onto the back straight. See, just getting on that power, just a bit twitchy at the moment.
924.97.
But we're one lap down. Handful more to go. And it was so crucial here to just make sure he didn't spin on that first chicane. We managed to avoid a trap penalty. We do let go. These two have an interesting coming together. The Peugeot slowly spins around. Again, we managed to avoid that, thankfully. Come around the final corner. We try and stick with this Porsche. The thing, like I said, in qualifying, the Toyota's brakes are pretty sharpish. See here, we do brake it a tad later. We get right on behind him. Which was some Porsche slightly faster there. However, as you can see in the bottom left, I'm just getting ready to swap my tyres when the time is right. Porsche goes wide here and we actually get a good run alongside him, cementing that place in front. Some good closing speeds, but managed to avoid the curbs as we go onto that back straight. The race carries on a bit. We start closing in on the Lamborghini and the Peugeot ahead, which certainly makes for some interesting opportunities up ahead. See, the BMW behind us is actually closing quite a bit as Porsche spinning out. The BMW piles the pressure on, actually manages to get alongside us. A very clean move there. We drop back to 8th, but we're still net gain overall at this point in the race with 15 minutes to go. We come into the pits, we are ready to swap on to the medium dry tyres. There's still pockets of wet, but nothing. It's usually under bridges and gantries. Come in. I think it's around a 12-14 second pit stop. And then we head back out. Relatively smooth pit stop. So I think Le Mans Ultimate has some real potential. With the new DLC that's just come out with Imola, and we've got a video coming up actually that'll come to the channel soon of a race there. A special event of a 90-minute race, so look out for that. Make sure you like and subscribe, be notified when that goes up. So yeah, Le Mans Ultimate, I know it's had its fair share of criticisms, and I think rightfully so. I think their developer Motorsport Games, you know, they've not had the squeakiest of clean records. However, all that being said, I think if you strip away the politics and you strip away all the other bits of the game and how it's been developed and all that kind of stuff. I think Le Mans Ultimate is an absolutely cracking game, and if you've not got it, I really suggest you pick it up. The GTs, which will soon have the addition of GT3 later on this year, but the GTs are really fun to drive. The LMP2s, which I will hopefully get a race of them at some point. The LMP2s, whilst they aren't in WEC currently anymore, they have been shunned in favour of more GT3s and hypercars. But the LMP2s have some really fun racing. The car itself is really fun to drive. And then you've got the hypercars. You've got a good array of hypercars now to drive. Some of the older stuff like the Glickenhaus and the Van Wall, very unpopular cars that seldom get raced. It's usually more what is in the 2024 season. But the game itself is absolutely brilliant. I implore you to give it a go. Criticisms, I think, of charging DLC whilst it's still in early access, I think are very valid. I think I understand that, you know, when the game is technically not complete, but then they are charging for a new track and 2 new cars. There's the Lamborghini Hypercar, as well as the 2024 Peugeot, which sports that lovely rear spoiler, compared to the 2023 counterpart, which had a wingless rear, which was an interesting concept, but obviously they felt they needed to adapt that to make it competitive for this season. So I understand the charge points and that it is expensive. Well, it's not really expensive, it's more the point of that it's an extra wodge of money that maybe you shouldn't have to pay until it's out of release. That being said, do I think the game could come out of early release, thus warranting charging for DLC? I think it's pretty much there. There are still major issues. Connectivity seems to be a big one. Stuttering, lagginess, and various other bits. As I go careering into the BMW there, for some unknown reason, I think I just missed my braking point. So yeah, I fully understand it. I get why people choose not to purchase the DLC, and I think that's the best way of telling developers is by voting with your wallet. But if you are okay with it, I think just to their own. I personally have the DLC. I had a good friend of mine, Vinny, shout out Vinny Bag of Chips. He graciously gifted us the DLC. So we're coming now to the final few laps of the race, with just under 4 minutes to go. We're currently in P14, so we did lose some positions as the Ferrari and the BMW there seem to take each other out. One of them was a back marker, one of them was not, which gives us a net gain up into 13th position now. But this race overall, the track is definitely dry now, so our mediums heating up, we're getting some temperature into them. I'm not quite sure how the people ahead are doing with staying on the wets, but it does seem to be a possible strategy. I just felt it was a safer and maybe more net gained chance of being faster, the mediums and the slicks. The race itself, quite eventful at the start, kind of came into its own by the end of the race. We've come down the back straight now, heavy into the braking zone. As you can see, P12 is quite a few seconds down the road. 12, 13 seconds ahead, with a back marker in between, which we just see there go spinning out. Kind enough to let us drive past without a dangerous rejoin. Overall, a very good race. Quite like the Toyota. I think it's certainly one of the better hypercars. I do quite like the state of charge being that green battery that you can see on the steering wheel. The green bar. It's quite a good indicator. I think it turns red when it goes under 25%. But we generally manage the engine quite well. Again, it's only a shorter race this, so we're not actually producing full stints. And just as the laps go on, we gain more and more confidence to hurl it round the corners without the risk of spinning out. And like I say, we're kind of in a bit of a no man's land. 12 seconds ahead, 15 or so seconds behind. We're just kind of out here, just ensuring we bring it home. I nearly ditch it there in the chicane. I make sure to not get a track limit penalty. The track limits in this game are varying. I think the system, if you have a track cut, it will tell you that it's evaluating the track limits, and it's indicated by a kind of dark orange, almost red, to amber to green. So if it's an orange, then it's probably going to be a severe penalty. Yellow is probably going to be a more milder one. But if it turns green, that usually indicates that you will not get a penalty. And if you see yourself getting an orange or a yellow and you actually slow down, you can negate the penalty. So if you cut the corner and you see it's yellow, if you just come off the accelerator, hit the brakes, obviously safely, you know, if you've got a car behind you, it can be quite hard to do, but if it's safe to do so, let off the accelerator, and it does often turn to green, which means that you can avoid it. And the way the penalties work in this game compared to others isn't just kind of straight number of cuts. It depends on the severity of the cuts, totaling up until a certain amount of points. So I believe in this one the total points was 3, so a small track cut might be 0.25 or 0.5 points, and then if you total 3, that requires you to then do a stop go 10-second penalty. I've only had to serve that once, and that was at Le Mans. Le Mans a bit more notorious for track cuts. It's quite easy to achieve that if you're not careful. Other tracks like Imola at the moment, which we'll probably talk about when we do the video, the track limits there are currently not quite as correct, shall we say. I think people are able to currently abuse those track limits quite a lot, cut the corners with 4 wheels over the white line and not get penalised. I do know it's something they're looking into on the Le Mans Ultimate Discords. They have asked for video footage and trace files, which people have been handing in, so I imagine that'll be done in an update soon, updating those track limits. So we're bringing it home now. We settle for P13. You can see there some of the back markers. Thankfully, it don't cause an issue. Cadillac there. and the van wall, which, like I say, a rare appearance by such. But a wonderful, wonderful. So there we go. We end up 13th with a 5% driver rating increase and an 18.3% safety rank increase, which means we're so close to getting the gold rating. Once you hit silver 3 and you go over the threshold, you become gold. Hopefully we manage to achieve that in the coming races. Expected to finish 22nd, finish 13. So there we have it, another race done on Le Mans Ultimate. I had an absolute blast with this. I really enjoyed the kind of wet conditions into dry, kind of variation, and deciding whether do you just risk it and stay out on the wets, even though they will degrade later in the race. I think some people did that, and I think looking at the general drop-off, they seemed to finish further up than we did, but we still had a net gain regardless. I really enjoyed driving the Toyota. Getting that power down whilst it was still wet was a new skill learning, and I really kind of enjoyed getting used to like battery management and stuff. I really enjoy the hypercars, and I can't wait to do more of it. But if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It helps me out massively. We'll be doing plenty more Le Mans Ultimate content. We'll also be putting up some of my ACC stuff with PLR Pro League Racing. I've got some league races there once or twice a week at the moment, so hopefully they'll be coming on the channel soon. But for now, that is all we've got today, so enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.